The odds of you being born into this world are 1 in 400 trillion. I know that to be true because Google says that it is. But I also checked ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, Perplexity, and they all say the same thing. So before we begin, what I want you to do with me at the count of 3 is say, I beat the odds. Because you're here today, you're 1 in 400 trillion, and you're with us in the moment. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, 3. I beat the odds. Way to go. Doesn't that feel good? So what happens when we decide to bring the next generation into this world? What happens as parents? Here's what I see. Here's my experience. We lay in bed and we think about the future. We worry about the future. We hope about the future. And we wonder about the future. And then at 8, we tell them they can be anything they want to be. And at 18, we say, we don't care what you do, just get out of the house. And they leave. And so it got me thinking, what if we started to look at this in a different way? What if we started to ask ourselves, what is the ultimate opportunity by beating the odds? What is that opportunity? To be born into this world. And if I could distill it down to one idea, that one idea for me is to help people become more alive. That's the opportunity, to help them become more alive. And what I know about what we do is that we teach people if you want more, you got to have more education, more experience, more relationship, more opportunity. And all that may be true. But the reality is, if you want more, the very first thing you have to have more of is yourself. And that starts with reinvention. And for me, I learned about that in 2 somewhat distinct and different places. Darius Rucker and my son Jack. And so my talk today is about what Darius and Jack taught me about reinvention. So I'm going to take a step back and I'm going to go to the day that I was born in December in Mobile, Alabama in 1971. Mobile is the birthplace of Mardi Gras. You learn from an early age, either you're going to stand on the sidewalk or you're going to get into the parade. I obviously decided to get in the parade. And if you fast forward 20 years later to the defining decade of my life, in my 20s, it's the 1990s. Do we have any other children of the 1990s in here? Give me more than that, 1990s. Thank you. Thank you. The 1990s are where it's at. So I beat the odds in so many ways during that decade. I graduated from high school. My sophomore year, Lou Kurg, my English teacher, he asked me at St. Paul's in Mobile, he asked me if I planned on being dumb my entire life, and I needed that. My parents had 2 pieces of paper. One said Army and the other said Marines. And they were waiting for me to come back from Millsaps College in Jackson, Mississippi, where to graduate you had to do oral comprehensive exams. No one told me this. If they did, I would have never gone to school there. But I beat the odds. Then off to Southern Miss to get my PhD because my mom taught me more education would never hurt you. It would only help you. And by the grace of God, again, I get through the PhD. And in that moment, at that time, I decide that I want to start a college football team. So I call this guy Norman Joseph and say, I'm going to call you every day until you call me back. And finally, he calls me back. And he says, meet me at a Waffle House in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. And so I do. And I end up helping him start a football program. No phones, no computers, no players, no uniforms, just a dream. We ended up 21st in the nation at some point during that season. And I would retire from coaching college football. And in that same time, I fell in love with and ultimately would marry a woman that gave me 2 kids that I helped bring into this world and help them beat the odds. So why do I share all that with you? And while those are defining moments and they set the trajectory for my life, there's one other piece that ties all of that together. And that piece is the music of Hootie and the Blowfish and Darius Rucker. Now think about, do we have any other Hootie and Blowfish fans in the house? So think about this. Their songs, I'm going to list them off to you. Hold My Hand. I Only Want to Be With You. Let Her Cry. That's the soundtrack. That's my life right there. Those three songs are the soundtrack of my life. And if you distill them down, what's so interesting is the band is made up of, their music is made up of simple melodies, honest lyrics, big chorus, and bar tested. And so if you know that, you have to reinvent. And you know that reinvention is part of your life. And you do wake up and subscribe to this fact that you want more, and the opportunity in this life is to wake up and become more alive. Here's the first takeaway, and I call it the stages of life, business, and relationships. In our 20s, they teach us to get in the game. They don't say what game to get into, they just say get in the game. So Darius and them got together and said, we're going to get in this game. In our 30s, they say move up in the game. In our 40s, we try to stay in the game because those 30-year-olds are so damn good. Technology's passed you by. In your 50s, what the research says is you finally say, what is it that I really want? If you watch Darius and you watch Hootie, what's so amazing? Past that formula for success, past the reinvention. Could you imagine they walk into close that record deal, and I imagine Darius has got this group of people together. He goes, guys, we've played these songs for 20 years. We have reinvented ourselves over and over and over. They sing these songs with us. We've got this deal wrapped up. 20s get in the game. 30s move up. 40s stay in. 50s, what do I really want? Reinvention starts with asking. Becoming more alive starts with asking, what do I really want? Fast forward to the next stage of my life. 20 years later, I'm 3 feet from Darius. I'm at what I would call, back in the day, storytellers. Do y'all remember that on VH1? Storytellers? Yeah, that's great. They let you inside the music. And so I'm there, and I'm 2 feet from him. And while everybody else is having this concert, that they're there to see a show, I'm having this moment in my life, this moment of clarity, where I say to myself, there's 4 rules to talent development, which is part of reinvention. Rule number 1, if you want to get better, get around people better than you. Rule number 2, decide what you want to be better at than them. Rule number 3, and this is about collaboration, make the pie bigger. And rule number 4, make the pie so big you start the bakery, and that's abundance. So I'm watching Darius, and I see him sing, and he's connected to the audience. And I lean over to Katie, the woman that I fell in love with, and I said, the way that he connects with music to the audience is the way that I want to speak to the world. So the second part of reinvention are the 4 rules of talent development. Get around people better than you. Decide what you want to be at better than them. Make the pie bigger. Look at how he's reinvented himself, Darius has. And along the way, he didn't just say it's all about me. He brought people with him every step of the way. Make the pie so big, you start a bakery. His music is now in a category by itself. So now let's move to Jack and what he taught me. And it's the last part of talent development, of reinvention. Jack grew up with me as a coach. And could you imagine having to deal with me as a coach throughout your childhood? And so he goes to play high school, and he asks me the same question that I asked my dad, and I'm a middle child, so I get it honestly, that I asked my dad after every game. Dad, how'd I do? And my dad, being who he is, Wayne Williams, he would always say the same thing to me. Well, how do you think you did. I believe the game is the teacher. It's one of the coolest parts about sports, letting the game be the teacher. So I asked Jack the same question. How do you think you did? So he caught me on a bad day. It's his senior year. He caught me on a bad day, and he asked me that question. And that day, I decided to tell him what I thought. I said, do you really want me to tell you what I think about you playing basketball? And he said, I've been asking you for 3 years. And I said, here's what I don't understand. There's an uncontested layup. The guy shoots it. Y'all let him. 5 guys watch it. There's no way I'm letting that happen. If somebody took that kind of shot on me, I'd put him into the stands. He said, Dad, people don't play basketball like that anymore. I turned to him. You asked me my opinion and what I thought. I gave it to you. Well, you know this is not going to end well for me. So fast forward to his second last game of his senior year, and you got to be careful because these kids, we script them and they become us in a very, very weird way. Crowd's all excited, cheering. I'm watching the game as the teacher. I'm sitting there enjoying my moment, just watching my boy, a boy and his ball, playing basketball. He sees that kid coming down. Nobody else is going to stop him. He's got the angle on him. He looks at me. I'm just staring at him. Gets the angle on him. Guy goes up for the layup, puts him in the cheap seats. Ref goes over there, gives him an intentional foul, kicks him out of the game. I find myself, I teach emotional intelligence. I built sportsmanship education platforms for the state of Alabama, and I find myself, I can't stop myself, 6 inches from that ref, and I said, all you did today was make America weak. And kicked me out of the gym. I can't make this up. That poor child. So I come back into the gym. Roles reversed. Jack, how do you think I did? Dad, I tried to tell you, people don't play basketball like that anymore. Now, why do I share that with you? Because it's the last part of reinvention, helping people become more alive, to get more of yourself. That is the greatest opportunity we have when you get a chance to beat the odds. Fast forward to Jack's first year at MTSU, and he's on the team, and he's down. I can tell it. And I played college football, and I know how that first 6 months is very, very difficult to get the plane off the ground. So I said, Jack, what's going on? Man, I'm thinking about quitting. I said, no. That was one of the non-negotiables we agreed to. You're not going to quit. I said, why do you want to quit? He said, man, it's hard. I said, yeah. Welcome to the rest of your life. This is hard. He said, you remember when you told me about that every day, about not letting that guy take that shot? I said, yeah. He said, you use these words, impose your will. I said, that's the greatest opportunity sports provide. The ability for you to stand in front of another and impose your will on someone else. And if any of us have ever searched, have ever desired, have ever wanted to become more, you know that at some point the world is going to push on you. And in that moment, you have to do what? Impose your will, push back. And I said, so what's it like? He goes, it's like that every single day. Well, if you fast forward to the end, he graduates. I love this picture because my mom stared at him. And it's the third piece and the final piece of reinvention. And here's what it is, what Thoreau says about success. He said that success is about advancing confidently in the direction of your own dream and to endeavor to live a life that only you can imagine, where you will find uncommon success in common hour. The only reason I wanted that boy to play sports is to learn how to advance confidently. Because the minute that you know how to advance confidently, you can begin to work on the dream. You can find uncommon success in common hour. You see, here's what's going to happen. You're going to walk out that door, and you're going to go back to wherever you came from. And it's going to be the same job. It's going to be the same life. It's going to be the same relationships and responsibilities. But what doesn't have to be the same is your decision that day to say that I know now that life's about reinvention. I understand the stages of life, business, and relationship. I've been exposed to the 4 rules of talent development, and I'm going to advance confidently in the direction of my own dream and endeavor to live a life that only I can imagine, where I'll find uncommon success in common hour. That's what I got. Thank you.